Good afternoon, evening, or morning, depending upon when you're listening to us. It's Brendan O'Brien.
Can we restart?
No, we're not restarting.
Fine. And I'm the Thurston part of the OBT show.
Welcome to a very special edition of the OBT show. We're going to talk about Comic-Con. And Chris is slightly upset with me because I didn't bring a pen and a pad and write stuff down. I wrote stuff down last time, but I did not this time because I don't give a F, because I feel so confident that we're going to hit all the big points within our allotted time frame. Chris, no time to lose. I don't care what you heard. Don't ask me, did you hear it? Because we all heard it. It's Comic-Con. Duh. What was your biggest thing?
You're so aggressive.
I am very aggressive today. I just had a snack, so I feel good.
Well, let's make sure everybody knows it's San Diego Comic-Con, but it's called Comic-Con because it's the big one. Mm-hmm. There's New York Comic-Con, which Brendan will most likely be attending.
Maybe you will too.
Oh, maybe I will too. Let's see, big points. Ours are going to differ, right? I mean, because we have different opinions on what things are going to be good and bad.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm okay with this.
Well, all right, so this is the first thing for me, bar none, was the excitement of the announcement of Man of Steel 2, which, to recap, Zack Snyder made a surprise appearance, and he thanked everybody for the Man of Steel success, and then he said, I want to bring out someone who has a much better voice than I do to read something to you all. And it was the guy who played the general at the end of Man of Steel, who was like, how are we going to contact you after Superman just destroyed his satellite like an asshole?
Yeah.
In the end of the first one. And he's like, I'm from Kansas. You can find me. I'm not going to turn on you and all the bullshit. Meanwhile, again, just destroyed his satellite. He starts reading the chapter from, or the quote that Bruce Wayne says, Batman, in Dark Knight Returns, which, to summarize and paraphrase, is basically, I want you to remember this day when I had my hand wrapped around your neck, Clark. Remember who it is that that defeated you this day. And then the arena goes dark, and then all of a sudden the Superman logo pops up, and then right immediately behind it, overshadowing it, is the Batman logo. Announcing that Man of Steel 2 will have Batman in it. And that was pretty much what the press release that was offered up by Warner Brothers said almost immediately after that. They were so excited that this is the start, the first salvo, if you will, across the bow to Marvel, saying, F you, we've got our big guys, and we are finally developing and putting them together in a movie. What did you think when you heard it?
I thought it was fucking awesome. Yeah. And I thought it was awesome that they chose, using a quote from Dark Knight Returns.
Yes.
Which they're using to frame the movie around, not necessarily make exactly the same thing.
Right.
That's amazing. So that means that Batman and Superman at some point in time in this movie are going to be fighting each other. And I think that this means that this is a new version of the fight, because the original fight, if for those that don't know, Dark Knight Returns, Batman, Bruce Wayne spends his life saving up kryptonite dust that he can find, and has Oliver Queen shoot an arrow at Superman, which he catches, but then it sprays out kryptonite, weakening Superman.
Right.
That's just so he can get the upper hand on him and let him know, like, hey, I can still beat the shit out of you. Mere human.
And he has an enhanced exoskeleton suit also that was built specifically to take on a weakened Superman, because even a weakened Superman can still kick his ass.
Yeah, he's still really strong.
He's still a threat.
So this means that you're not going to have a super nice Batman and a super nice Superman going in cahoots together. But I think by the end they're going to have them working together in some form. And also, since they haven't introduced kryptonite into this new reboot of Superman, I don't really know how Batman's going to get the upper hand in this scenario.
Well, you could have. Well, there's a couple of things that I've read and a couple of thoughts that you and I have had, even just on the generic Man of Steel 2 sequel, which we talked about how you could have Lex Luthor be a pivotal role because of the fact that Superman pretty much blew all of his shit up in Metropolis, and he could be mad at him for that. You could go at it from a Wayne Enterprises standpoint, where that's where Batman becomes aware of Superman, and maybe that's where you introduce kryptonite as something that Bruce is either researching or Lex is researching, that
because it's appeared
post Superman, because that was the premise too. In the comic books, was once Krypton landed, the ships, the asteroid had Krypton in it. Kryptonite in it. So it's not far-fetched for them to just do a very quick scene of, oh, look, what's this green rock? And then...
I hope they don't, because of the fact that they just got rid of it for the first movie, which is understandable. They just wanted to be Superman.
Yeah.
But I hope they put a little bit of science-y emphasis on it with Batman or Lex, either one of them being the ones like researching it and kind of like in a lab.
You have to have something
cool, something you know, nerdy and geeky for you know, the world's greatest detective. And then on top of that, Joker's going to be in it. So you're going to have a new Joker.
They said Joker's going to be in it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, new Joker, new Batman, and a new Lex to add on to.
I didn't think they were going to do it. When did they announce that?
It was one of the post. It wasn't necessarily like during the panel. It was an after.
I don't know if I like that though.
I'm okay with it.
Well, I think the challenge is going to be, it's going to be awesome. Like, people just will want to see it as is. Like, Superman hanging out with Batman, they're going to want that. I think the challenge is going to be is if you start overloading it with villains, that there's so much story to be mined that you don't want to overdo it. Because, yes, Joker in the comic has been involved with Superman and has had, you know, fights against him. Actually, really, like, King Joker, was a storyline. That was really cool, where it was like the Joker recreated Metropolis in his image and based on some magic that he had that messed with Superman's head. But anyway, I just don't know if I would be 100% signed off on
look at the
Joker-infused Superman film.
Look at the video game they just did. Whatchamacallit? The new Justice League one.
Injustice?
Injustice, yeah. The main premise of the story is Joker kills Lois and Superman goes, you know, ape shit. That's the big like Joker influencing Superman storyline. Yeah, and it's paid off because a lot of people that played the game are still playing it. They enjoy it. I don't think it's going to be Joker's going to be the big emphasis. I think it's going to be a Lex Luthor movie. Yeah. But if you're going to have Batman and Superman in their first movie, big time together, why not have their two biggest villains?
Well, all right. I mean, I'll give you that, but I still.
I mean, maybe not. Lex has been around. He's you know, proven that over time that he will still be some kind of an influence as a villain. Same thing with Joker. So I feel like this is going to be like one of those 2.5 hour, 2 hour and 45-minute mega movies that they're going to have lots of stuff going on in it. So if they have two villains, that's not as terrible of a thing.
No, it's not.
Look at Spider-Man. The new Spider-Man's coming out. It's going to have.
Electro, it's going to have Rhino,
it's going to be it.
And it's going to have the beginning of Green Goblin.
I think he might even show up.
Well, here's the thing. Here's why I'm hesitant. I'm still gun shy, and in a terrible way, from Spider-Man 3, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, that all up the ante with villains, and just shoved them down your throat with no development, no nothing like that. So. That's sort of where I'm like, I would prefer one, maybe no more than two, and one of them would have to be a really minor villain. This just seems like a lot of heavy hitters all at once.
Well, I mean, I feel like they've learned their lesson, especially with if Christopher Nolan's going to be giving advice. Look at how he handled Batman Begins. He managed to fit in Zaz. He fit
Zaz, I barely.
Yeah, but he still got him in there, and he got Scarecrow in there. And he had...
it can be done, but, Ra's al Ghul. You had Al Ghul as sort of the overall baddie. Scarecrow is minimal. I just don't think you can do that with the Joker and Lex Luthor because they're so iconic.
They'll find a way to make it work. I
think they will, but it's one of those where I'm like, I want to see a little bit and see what... If they release a story synopsis, then I'll be better with it. That's my only gripe.
I'm not that worried. Honestly, like, the direction that they're taking DC, it's a little bit better than... where it could have been.
Right, and you also are laying the groundwork for a reported Flash film that's going to be coming out, which is like, man, all right.
Which Flash do you think it's going to be? Is it the Barry Allen?
Probably Barry Allen.
Yeah, because he's awesome.
He's the only one.
Yeah. There's 3 Flash.
Well, I mean, as far as the one that is the most recognizable as far as...
Who's the new one?
They had, one of them was Impulse, who's now like a Flash.
I can't remember the guy's name. It starts with a W. I'll look it up.
Okay, look it up. But they'll have that. Then now they're laying
Barry Allen. He's like iconic,
and they're laying the groundwork for a JLA movie. I mean, the big question too is when will they do that, and then how many of the heroes are they going to put into? Apparently, they're working on a Smallville-esque Wonder Woman TV series that's going forward.
That'd be cool.
But it's just cool because you had then you had the next day of Avengers, which rolled out Joss Whedon to discuss Avengers 2: Age of Ultron, which I have my own issues with. If it's anything, because if referring to a previous podcast where I almost lost my shit, well, I did lose my shit.
Well, you didn't give this like a big announcement treatment. You're just like, you're angry, aren't you?
Right now?
Yeah.
About this?
So, like, they announced the next Avengers, and it's going to be Avengers: Age of Ultron. Wish there was a different title.
Yeah, I mean, they've come out and said it's not a outright ripoff of Brian Michael Bendis' version.
I doubt it's going to be very much influenced.
I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be influenced in
the
name only, but it's still kind of annoying that it could even be associated with that storyline because I wasn't a fan of it. Yeah, I know. Well, that was the tweet he put out. It was something like, "Oh, thanks for raising my book sales." I was like, "F you."
Yeah, because your book sucked.
I wasn't a big fan of it. I think he's a talented guy. I just think, Mariano Rivera messes up the game. Wally West, yes.
Okay, that's the one I was thinking of. All right.
Talented guy, though. But, Mariano Rivera blows a save every now and then. Yeah. I think this one wasn't just his best. So they had Avengers 2 announcement where there was video shown, which was a profile of Iron Man's helmet. It turned slowly, and it was audio from previous films, and then the helmet crumpled into the Ultron mask, which I thought was cool. Which many people are thinking, and that infers to me that it's going to be Tony Stark that creates Ultron, not Hank Pym, which some people are upset about. I'm okay with, because it makes sense based off of what he did in Iron Man 3, and even it's almost a bit of a hint with the fact that trailer had sort of legs and arms and heads hanging off the back of it, which is like, and he's already playing with that concept in Iron Man 3 of being remotely controlling and having the in tune to his body and using his mind to get the armor on. So it makes sense.
It's going to be a tweaked version of Jarvis that becomes Ultron.
Yeah.
And that's
which I'm
be
cool
awesome.
with.
Yeah. I mean, we both agree that we want to see Ant-Man,
right,
minus him being an abusive douchebag, and this might be their saving grace opportunity to bring Ant-Man in without Ultron and give him a good origin refresh.
Well, there's also a O'Leary. That's the last name of the character. I forget his first name. Ant-Man. That's in comics. Was in comics for a while. He was a low time 2-bit criminal who stumbled upon Ant-Man's costume in a S.H.I.E.L.D. warehouse he was trying to lift items from, put it on, and then kind of became this quasi-hero. He was using it to steal stuff, and then the Avengers recruited him. They could go with that version of Ant-Man and then make Hank Pym more of a scientist in the background for S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. I mean, I still want Hank Pym just because on name recognition.
Well, yeah, I mean, you'd like to see the original Avengers on there, which would be cool, but I think that I wouldn't be surprised if they went that because that's the most recent version of Ant-Man that's out there. I mean, Hank Pym has now come back as that, but they had dueling Ant-Men for a while, if you will. So
I like the direction that they're going with it. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with them gutting some comic book history
because it's tough to
make sense in the movie storyline. You have to do it.
And then you wonder where you put in Vision, because Vin Diesel was tweeting about being at Marvel.
Exactly.
And now people are like, maybe he's a Vision because that would make sense because he doesn't have to say much.
Yeah.
And he could be Vin Diesel. Hello.
Be glowy.
Hello, Stark. It could be very low. Like, it's a robotic voice. It's a robotic performance. Yeah. So maybe that's the direction they're going.
They did some talks about Captain America 2.
Yeah, talk about
it. They said a lot of the people are saying that this is not going to be any of the Marvel movies that have come out. They're saying it's a lot more rooted in the way we feel about things as Americans today, as far as like national security, and you have Captain America, who is this cut and dry, there's good and there's evil, right, and then you have Nick Fury, who sees all the gray that there is, and sometimes you have to work with the enemy to get a common goal or whatever. So they're saying this could be one of the better Marvel movies that comes out.
That's cool, because I mean that's one element of Nick Fury they haven't really touched upon yet, where Nick in the comic books plays both sides.
Yeah, he's got some big gray.
And there's even storylines out there where, Secret Wars, where he pretty much mind manipulated the heroes into doing something for them, and then put a program in their head that made them forget.
Make it go away.
Make it go away. And then until the villains came back alive and hunted them, and they had no idea why. And Nick had to be like, oh, by the way, remember that time you don't really remember when you're fuzzy for that weekend? Yeah, you blew up Latveria. And like, oh,
Thought
shit.
I'd just drink some, like, wicked booze, man.
Oh, shit. So those were the big Comic-Con.
That was a big one. What else did they have that was big?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy. They confirmed that it's Thanos is going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's
Hinted.
He's going to be the main villain.
Well, no, they said
confirmed it.
Benicio del Toro is going to be the main villain too, the Collector.
Oh.
Yeah, it's going to be more Benicio del Toro as the Collector, and that sort of space operatic where they'll have Thanos will be in it, but they haven't said whether or not he's the main villain yet.
Okay. Well, they made it seem like bigger than what I guess I heard, because they were just like, we have him. He's in this movie.
Well, I mean, he would make sense to be fully developed in that, but maybe he's Avengers 3 villain.
And then you can
combine
Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. That'd be so cool. So much nerdiness in such a small amount of time.
But, I mean, the other, the segues into talking about X-Men movies, but Hugh Jackman said he would love to be in the Avengers. And you have Andrew Garfield, who said that he would love to be in the Avengers. Do you think this happens?
No. I mean, you're talking about different movie production companies having.
Yeah, but if they all realize the money they can make by putting Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and Andrew Garfield's
we agree
Spider-Man.
that this is a good idea, because we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Like if everybody starts shaking hands and making friends for like at least a year, they can all be happy billionaires.
Well, I think the one thing that I can take from the fact that they're even talking about it openly is that no one has told them no.
Well, because they're actors. They
but you know what I mean. No, the studios could easily have said, "Don't say anything about this."
Yeah, but once again, they're actors. How many times have actors said things that they're not supposed to say?
But
I'm
know
sure
what I mean?
got a slap on the wrist for it. Be like, hey,
Maybe.
we haven't even started doing talks like that if we're going to do something like that.
But you know what I mean. But at least
people want it.
The fact that it was even discussed is big. The fact that sort of is in the narrative of Andrew Garfield and Hugh Jackman in their mind, that's awesome.
I mean, I wouldn't want them to be a big focus. I would want them to just, if they just showed up, to be like, hey, you need help, and Spider-Man's there.
They have to be a bigger focus.
I don't want a bigger focus on them.
Spider-Man is huge, and Wolverine is a huge Avengers. He's a huge Avenger, Wolverine.
Yeah, but we're talking about the preset storyline that they're working on right now that they're going with. If they
okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, they can't just crowbar him in. That I get that. I thought you meant like just in general, if they had the ability to write the story as is.
Oh, you know,
Wolverine in there. Make him a bigger deal.
Make him a bigger deal.
Yeah, but I agree. If it's like the draft is first, like the fourth draft is done, and they're out on their final draft, and they're like, "Hey, you can use Wolverine," then it should be like a one-page cameo.
You got Wolverine sitting there with his middle claw out as he's talking to Nick Fury in the diner, and it's like panning out or whatever, and then they have like a talk with Spider-Man's talking to Captain America, and he's just like grabbing him, and he's just like, "You need to do this."
And they
stop smart talking.
Well, they can do it. Well, they can make it easy because Spider-Man always said no to Captain America in the comic books for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Wolverine, the same thing. He always said no, but then you could at least lay the groundwork where the two of them say no, and then maybe they pop up in Avengers 3 if everybody thinks it's so cool.
Yeah.
That would be my dream.
I think we're dreaming too.
We're dreaming, but it'd be awesome.
It would be awesome.
But I think, in your opinion, what was the bigger story? Because there's one other X-Men movie. Let's lay out all of Marvel's cards on the table before we make a final verdict.
They talked about
Days of Future Past,
which starting to look pretty cool. They showed some Sentinel masks. That's awesome.
And they revealed
that posters with multiple faces of people new and old.
And they said that Peter Dinklage plays Bolivar Trask, the creator of the Sentinels, which I think is awesome.
That's awesome. He had to get a good role.
He had to.
He's awesome.
For him to say yes.
If you don't watch Game of Thrones, people, watch Game of Thrones just for Peter Dinklage.
Awesome.
He's awesome.
I have to catch up on Game of Thrones.
I'm not talking to you anymore.
I'm catching up Breaking Bad.
I'm going to look this way and do the podcast. What's up, fans?
Shut your damn face, you silly bastard. So that movie looks awesome. They had all those people discuss it, like Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart, Halle Berry was there, Hugh Jackman,
they had
Anna
the
Paquin.
whole cast.
They pretty much had everybody.
They had people fly out just for it.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing with
Guardians of the Galaxy. They flew from London for the night, and they got back on a plane.
That's awesome.
Nuts.
That is fan service. That is good fan service.
It was pretty cool.
What was that?
Sounds like something is about to
eat us.
Eat us at my apartment. And not in a fun way.
No, it sounded...
Anyway, so those were the big things. Now, I want your opinion, because people listen to us for our opinion.
I got my opinion.
You got your opinion?
The biggest of those.
Well, here's the thing. Biggest story out of that, and then looking at everybody, who won Comic-Con, DC or Marvel? So those are two questions I posed to you right now.
BRYAN CRANSTON won Comic-Con.
That's true. But I want to talk about just the big that we can talk about Breaking Bad.
Okay, all right. He so won Comic-Con. He did really, the man.
He did awesome stuff.
Okay. I think that DC won.
Okay.
Just with the surprise card of saying that they're going to do a Superman Batman movie. Now, I think that Marvel threw in like a lot of their heavy punches, and all of the news is like either interesting or good. None of it's bad.
Right.
So I think that they put up a good front, but just the fact that they said Superman, Batman, same movie, go. Everyone went,
well, yeah.
And they lost their
Twitter
shit.
Was like throwing up and passing out.
No, and I heard about it. Like I couldn't because I have like a bunch of Twitter accounts that I have send me mobile text messages in case I'm not looking.
Yeah.
And my phone was constantly vibrating. I'm just like, everybody's losing their shit right now. I
know. And then who do you think won? DC overall?
DC overall.
All right.
Just because of that parallel.
So that was the biggest news for you, and DC won.
Yeah.
All right, cool. For me, I think DC won the whole thing as well. The biggest news has to be Batman Superman, because Avengers kind of laid the groundwork, and you can see it coming, because of Marvel is very specific with what their vision was, and nobody had any clue about Batman and Superman possibly being together, because every time that you would bring up JLA or I'd see it in articles, it was like, well, we're thinking about it, but that's a way. Like that's a lot. We got to get Man of Steel off the ground.
We can see the horizon.
Yeah, like we get, Man of Steel's got to do well. We got to. So now it's like you realize they probably were anticipating that Man of Steel would be excellent way, maybe even a year ago, based on Comic-Con response and trailers and stuff like that. So. You knew that they were going to be doing something, and it was all smoke screen. So I think that was the most exciting thing, because you weren't expecting Zack Snyder. You weren't expecting that passage from Dark Knight Returns. You weren't expecting a logo.
I mean, there were some people that were rumoring.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like positive.
But it wasn't positive.
That was a rumor that you have to like hurt yourself to believe,
Marvel,
because you want it to happen so bad.
and from Iron Man on, when Iron Man, they kind of let the cat out of the bag when Nick Fury comes to Tony Stark and says, we're starting the Avengers Initiative. And you're like, holy shit, they're actually going to do it. Like that was about 5-6 years ago now. So we already know it's coming. Marvel's already deep into Phase 2, working on Phase 3. And then at some point, you have to ask, what are they going to do next? Whereas JLA is something to look forward to. There's a lot more anticipation on the DC side. So DC, fantastic job. Awesome. I'm excited.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and the surprise is there just on the name recognition alone.
Oh, yeah.
Marvel, it's in the movies, because you know the movies are going to be good. That's where the surprise is, because you sit down and then like 2 hours later, you're like, I want to watch it again.
Yeah, I know that's what it is. So I would say DC did an awesome job.
DC definitely won. But as far as the individual winning Comic-Con is BRYAN CRANSTON. That man
is awesome.
Malcolm in the Middle, Breaking Bad. He was in so many movies that I'm blanking out on.
That's okay, but tell him why, because I know why, but tell people why.
Okay, so this man, he showed up to Comic-Con as himself from Breaking Bad. He showed up in a mask that is designed exactly like the way his character is designed, bald-headed, glasses, everything.
Yep.
Meanwhile, in real life, he doesn't really look like that. He has, cropped hair, looks like a normal person or whatever. And he's walking around Comic-Con and nobody
pays attention to him.
Because they're just like, oh, cool, it's another guy dressed up as Walter White. That's awesome.
As Heisenberg, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then he gets up there and he has the mask with him. And he's like,
well, didn't he take the mask off? Like he sat down and took the mask off. He was like, "Hey, everybody!"
losing their shit.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That's like, I feel like the big thing that I've seen out of all of the news stories coming out of Comic-Con this year is fan service. They did everything to make people happy.
Even had.
It's not about. I mean, they know they're going to get a paycheck if they can make people smile.
And they even had Hiddleston dress up like Loki.
It only took them like 15 years to figure that shit out.
I know. Well, they dressed. The crowd. He dressed the crowd as Loki, which is really cool.
That was awesome.
I was so jealous when I started reading like tweets like he dressed up like Loki and is talking to us like Loki.
Shit.
was like, shit, someone posted a video.
I want to be a weak, puny human in front of Loki.
I know. And I like that line, like, now I have an army.
They've just gone nuts as far as fan service goes. Like, for example, Ubisoft had a pirate ship in the bay. Shooting off cannons.
Yeah.
And it had a huge sail with the pirate logo, with the Assassin's big A. That is awesome. That doesn't get any better for, people that really, really look forward to seeing things in the future.
And, I think it also sets the table for New York Comic Con, because they haven't really even announced the big names yet, because once San Diego, they don't do that till San Diego's done.
It's over.
And probably not again until really September.
They have all of the comic people.
The comic book people they've been releasing, because that's like, the sad part is that's no longer
it's not the
for me, I was like,
president.
Scott Snyder. I was excited about Scott Snyder. Do you know who Scott Snyder is?
I'm going to butcher it, but it's little bits. I'm sorry.
So disappointing. Lead writer on Batman.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I don't identify with his Batman as much because I'm a Frank Miller Batman.
I know, but he would love this.
You know this about me.
I know this, but you should read.
I don't
his
read
new
comics
stuff.
as much as now as I used to in the day.
I'm dusting off my equipment because I'm so sad. I can't look
I'm starting to read more comics, though. You know this.
I know you are.
I'm
excited
reading
about
Walking Dead a lot.
I know.
It's beautiful.
The only other bit of comic book news. Crap! I totally forgot what I was gonna say. I just started saying, they talked a little bit more about Superior Spider-Man, where that's going. That looks like it's becoming more in depth, which is going to be weird. They also started to talk about the next big Marvel event, which is going to focus on the Inhumans, which they might be getting a bit of a star treatment in the big screen if that's the case.
Yeah, I've seen some posts of images online about them doing stuff with the Inhumans, so it looks cool.
I'm excited by it. I think it looks cool. I think the premise is that everybody gets powers based off the Inhumans, the Terrigen Mists that will be released in Earth. Superpower people.
That's gonna be great.
It's gonna be awesome.
They're doing a reboot for Harley Quinn.
I saw that Joker's daughter.
It
looks dumb.
I mean, it's weird. It's really weird.
It is really weird. But the big news, and I think it came out, and I might even have to run out and get it, and then I can report back next week. But Grant Morrison's run on Batman Incorporated ended this week. Mm-hmm. And he said he thinks people are going to hate the ending.
Oh, shit. What did he do?
Well, he said, and I don't know, it's Grant Morrison. He said, Batman is always fighting in the dark. He's like our darkest aspects of our lives. He said, so it's not a happy ending. Bruce can't have happy endings, which I agree with. Batman can't have a happy ending. But it's supposed to be... It's probably really depressing and not really a victory per se.
So everybody dies and Batman's standing there all alone.
Maybe, but the thing that's weird is that Grant's been informing the books, the Batman books, but not in a weird way. Like, Snyder doesn't touch upon what's really going on. Neither do the other Bat books, the core books.
If they kill Bruce again, I'm going to lose my shit.
Well, no, I don't think they're killing Bruce, but I could see them killing off other people.
That's fine. Kill him off. Keep Bruce alive.
All right. Kill off Nightwing.
There you go.
Dick Grayson's dead.
That's fine.
No, don't believe me. I'm just goofing on it.
No, I know, but I mean, as far as a trade for Bruce, that's fine.
You're terrible.
I know, I'm pretty bad.
Let's wrap up this convo on Comic-Con. Anything else that I know you're super stoked.
Yeah, the big one that we didn't talk about, Godzilla.
Talk about it.
They released some early footage, like some, what do they call them?
Sizzle reel.
Sizzle reel of Godzilla. And they had an animated GIF of it online that before it got pulled down.
Yeah.
Of him walking by a building, like you're looking through blinds and like there's like lightning, and then you see like part of him or whatever. It looks like Godzilla.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like the shit show that was Matthew Broderick's.
You didn't like that?
I wish lizard didn't really happen.
You didn't like.
Remember the Taco Bell?
Oh yeah.
Hey, lizard. I hated that shit.
You didn't like Matthew Broderick's wacky adventure in New York with like his
fucking awful.
Yeah, I know, it was terrible. I saw it though.
The anger that I want you to feel. Do you feel it?
At least we got Puff Daddy's version with of that song, that dun, 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 dun,
of Kashmir?
Kashmir.
Yeah, that's just ruin a classic and ruin a classic all at the same time.
It was a popular #1 hit.
Yeah, it was actually a pretty cool song.
It was a cool song.
But that movie was fucking awful.
And I remember him in his white outfit dancing next to the Godzilla, which made me feel terrible.
And now that we have to hope for is an actual Godzilla movie.
Take a cue from Pacific Rim.
Yeah, and I think that was the thing. It was like it was Godzilla was announced at last year's Comic-Con as like something that they're working on or whatever, and then this year they have a little bit more to be like, yes, we're still doing it, and Pacific Rim was awesome and is making money,
Right.
so we got lots of big green lights in our eyes to
keep going,
invest and get a lot of ad sales.
So to finalize, because I got nothing left to say about Comic-Con unless I'm missing something.
There's so much stuff that happened at Comic-Con.
We can always bring it back. Do a recap next week.
Yeah.
Don't be sad. Are you sad?
I'm just sad. It was like so much information that we just...
I know.
We like blew through it.
I know. Well, I mean, I think it's hard to process too because there's not too many details besides
It's like
Avengers 2, Age of Ultron, then that's it.
We just did
We can all
like lines
speculate.
of coke
We did.
of Comic-Con. Like, all right, let's talk about Superman, Batman.
We're gonna wake up on a roof naked somewhere.
Look at a little twinkle.
What did you learn?
I learned that we both agreed on something which doesn't happen very often. Go DC, go Superman, Batman. And I learned that Bryan Cranston is the fucking man.
Yep.
But it was not necessarily a new lesson. It was just a lesson.
It was a reinforcement.
That was re-welcomed.
Reinforced lesson.
Yeah.
Ask me.
What did you learn, Brendan?
I learned that you have a terrible cocaine problem. That's the OBT show. I'm Brendan.
Hey, Batman's a great cocaine problem. I'm Chris.
You coke addict.